So what did happen this year? Well, that's what I'm here to remind you of. 2022 was a year of ups and downs and just crazy everything. So much happened this year that when I went back to research the script for this video, it actually reminded me how much has happened, because I didn't think half of this stuff actually happened this year. I thought it was all last year as well. So it actually kind of shocked me to figure out that everything happened this year. At the Oscars, Will Smith did this. And then somehow went on to win an Oscar, and this caused an outrageous amount of controversy. Some people called for his Oscar to be stripped away from him, some called for him to be banned from the Academy Awards. But in my opinion, I think he would rather any of those punishments than another cold shoulder from Jada. Elon Musk finally completed his apparent $44 billion deal to buy Twitter, and the world's richest man announced this by tweeting the coldest tweet of possibly the decade already: "The bird is freed." But that wasn't the only thing that was let loose. He also reversed the bans of millions of suspended users, one of which being Donald Trump. Now, at the time, Twitter stated that there was a risk that Trump would incite further violence, but Elon Musk responded with describing this ban as foolish. Now, I'm not one to follow the political world, right? But I wouldn't necessarily consider banning Donald Trump a mistake. Speaking of bland asswipes, Amber Heard went to war with Johnny Depp, as Depp took her to court for defamation after she suggested he abused her in a 2018 Washington Post. Now, this court case caused the internet to implode. Millions, if not billions, rushed to defend Johnny Depp, calling out Amber Heard for these false claims of assault, battery, abuse. But more importantly, we took the piss out of her. A lot of people claim that her court case was fake, that her lawyers weren't as good as Depp, because Depp's lawyers did their part. But even the evidence against her was crazy, because during the court case, Depp accused her of defecating in his bed, which gave the internet full license to create one of the best nicknames of this year, Amber Turd. We've done our job here, ladies and gentlemen. Elsewhere in the world, Kim and Kanye got a divorce, ending an apparent 2-year battle between the two. Kim quickly moved on to Pete Davidson, however, only to then split again in August this year, after about 9 months of dating. Then in November, Pete was photographed with Emily Ratajkowski? Emily. And now there's rumours of him dating Jenna Ortega. I guess you could say he's a new girl every weekday. You know, because she played Wednesday. Aside from celebrity antics, one heartbreaking story dominated the news for the majority of the year, as Vladimir Putin waged war on Ukraine. Now, as much as this video is meant to be lighthearted, this is a serious topic for me to discuss, and I know it's easy for me to comment on it because I'm not directly affected by it. But for those who have been directly affected by it, I hope you and your loved ones are in a safe environment. I hope that you're keeping yourselves healthy as well. So what did the rest of the world do to help? Well, a lot of countries were able to take in Ukrainian citizens, while others donated to charities and funds to help people that were still stuck in Ukraine. World leaders of the past and present condemned Putin's actions, while also praising President Zelensky's resilience. And that resilience translated into the population of Ukraine, with stories like the Ghost of Kiev helping to raise morale in towns and cities. This story in particular took the internet by storm, but what we didn't need is this.
Glory, glory to Ukraine. Bum, bum. President Zelensky, Ireland supports you.
Oh my. President Zelensky, on behalf of every Irish person out there, I sincerely apologise. That video in itself is a war crime and no one deserves to see that. Over in England, the land was shook by the tragic passing of Queen Elizabeth after a reign of over 70 years, with the queue for a funeral spreading nearly the length of the country itself. However, that didn't stop Phil and Holly for cutting the queue for paying their respects. So that led to the coronation of King Charles, and one girl in particular had a very specific request from her new monarch.
What advice would you give new king? What would you like to see him do?
Do a backflip.
I mean, I wouldn't say no to seeing that at the end of the day, really. On the topic of England, they went through Prime Ministers quicker than Kanye West lost his mind. Boris Johnson finally got the boot, and it's safe to say not everyone was that disappointed.
What's your thoughts on him as a Prime Minister? Shit.
Then Liz Truss was appointed Prime Minister, and 45 days later she was no longer Prime Minister, and was somehow outlasted by a lettuce. Yes, a lettuce. And after going through 3 Prime Ministers in the space of 2 months, they now have Rishi Sunak, and in my opinion, he is the human embodiment of politics' biggest NPC.
And I will work day in, day out to deliver for the British people.
He finishes his speeches like a career mode cutscene. In his eyes, the camera fades to black and he goes back to finish his transfer of Mbappe to Fulham. On the topic of football, how can I not mention 2022 without talking about the World Cup? This year's tournament contained more upsets than Morbius. The favourites Argentina losing to Saudi Arabia on their first match day, Japan beating Germany, which helped them advance into the knockouts, Morocco beating Portugal to advance in the semis, and just so many other good matches, especially the final. Oh my god, what a game. Many say it was one of, if not the greatest match of all time. But after 120 minutes as well as penalties, Argentina emerged victorious, and the greatest of all time, the greatest to ever do it, Lionel Messi, lifts his crown jewel. And that, my friends, brings the end to 2020. Now I know, like, obviously these aren't the only things to happen this year, but this is what I consider to kind of be like the most notable things to happen in like the media, the internet, and like stuff that everyone has heard about. I also feel like it's important to mention that while there has been a lot of lighthearted stuff in this video, like I said, there has been a lot of controversial stuff that have happened this year. You know, obviously touched on the war in Ukraine, the human rights issues involved with the World Cup, a lot of protests happening around the world, and probably more that I'm missing that I just can't think of. I know this year hasn't been easy for a lot of people, whether it be through these events that I've mentioned or their own personal issues. But this video was meant to be sort of a roundup of all the things that have happened in a more comedic and funny way to make people laugh. Regardless of that, I do hope everyone has had a nice year, and I hope that carries on into 2023. So yeah, that's been me. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope everyone has a nice 2023, and I guess, yeah, I'll see you next year.